morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome our home church service. We came the Roosevelt Forest today. You can see the beautiful view here. We have pond, gazebo, and a beautiful flower blooming. Please enjoy. Let's prepare our heart. Holy song, number 6, Song of the Victors. Number 6, Song of the Victors. Sing along,
Hosanna to the Lord. Offer everything with humble heart. Come attend the Lord, oh rejoice in Him who brings new life to all the world. Let us go, determined to seek and find all the promised glory of the Lord. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There are clouds of darkness on the path, sinful night enveloping the land. Brush the clouds aside and behold the light that shines in beauty everywhere. Let us go, determined to seek and find our new world of joyfulness and peace. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. Oh, my brothers, all rejoice today. Sisters, too, you who sing the song of our new life. Offer praise on high, blessed forevermore, as chosen people of the Lord. Let us go, determined to seek and find all the brilliant glory of our dreams. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. We uphold the standard of the Lord, yes we do, to restore His true ideal. Freely give your love, share the Father's joy, and beauty will return to you. Let us go, determined to seek and find harmony within the garden bright. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. There we'll sing new songs in the garden fair, songs of freedom bright with happiness. Freedom bright with happiness.
Thank you. Next song is Our Father. 38, page 38. Our Father. You can sing it two times.
Fathers build for us a beautiful land. Till it is completed, we will join in heart and hand. See the new eternal history beckoning us to come quickly on the journey to the true eternal home. How the beauty of our native land lifts us to the skies. God has surely chosen this eternal paradise. Our forefathers built for for us a beautiful life. Till it is completed, we will join in heart and hand. See the new eternal history beckoning us to come quickly on the journey to the true eternal home. How the beauty of our native land lifts us in the skies. God has surely chosen this eternal paradise.
Thank you. Next song is 120. The Lord is one. 120. The Lord is one.
Oh, my brethren, can't you hear me say, the Lord will love you forever and a day. Oh, my brethren, can't you hear me say, the Lord is one. Oh, can't you hear it, brother? And won't you come along to build a heavenly kingdom and sing a brand new song? Call everybody, try to understand. We've got to start working, the time is at hand. Call everybody, try to understand. The day is come. Oh, can't you hear it, brother? And won't you come along to build a heavenly kingdom and sing a brand new song? Lo, on Mount Zion, the Son of Man appears to rule the house of Jacob for 10,000 years. Lo, on Mount Zion, the Son of Man appears and cries, it is done. Oh, can't you hear it, brother? And won't you come along to build a heavenly kingdom and sing a brand new song? All bound together, nobody can fall, loving each other, loving one and all. All bound together, nobody can fall. Our race is one. Our race is one. Our race is one. All bound together, nobody can fall. Hey, loving each other, loving one and all. All bound together, nobody can fall. Our race is one. Our race is one. Our race is one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All bound together, nobody can fall. Hey, loving each other, loving one and all. All bound together, nobody can fall. Our race is one. Our race is one. Our race is one. Woo!
Thank you. Join me prayer. God, the Heavenly Parents. Most lovely Heavenly Parent, God, true parents. Good morning. Today is May 7th, 2017, Sunday morning. After raining, everything clean and clear. We came here, the roads of the forest, cool wind and beautiful smell, and we can see the pond and the tree and flower. Everything is your harmony, Heavenly Parents. With your love, we are so grateful to start a new week with you. We are so lovable God, and your mercy and your love and forgiveness, you saved us, Heavenly Parents. We are so grateful to receiving your love and guidance and new inspiration through our pastor. Please bless this time. We sincerely, humbly offer ourselves to you. Please bless this week. We are grateful. Please bless this time. Join us. Thank you very much. We report in the name of Raman and Tamiko Montanaro, Central Blessed Family. Aju. Amen. Thank you very much. Welcome our pastor, Montanaro. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So it's a bit cool today, but it's spring. Come on down, boys. And I wanted to come outside. Singing the songs was really nice. I felt looking at the beautiful trees. They're so tall and they're turning green now. It's springtime. That we have to have a spirit like that. We have to be ready to be young. We have to be young again. Now, it's easy for you guys to be young because you are young. But myself, I'm almost 58 years old, 57 and a half. And oh, my flower. And I actually coming to the late summer of my life, right? Late summer. By the age of 60, I think you could say you're entering the autumn of your life, you know? And maybe even 50, you could say you're entering the autumn of your life. And then 75, you're entering the twilight years of your life, you know, until 100. And then you can go to spiritual world. So maybe 25, 25, 25, 25, right? So I wanted to read something that Father wrote, or he spoke actually, many years ago. This was in 1976, in April. It was the springtime. And Father was getting ready to bring all the members to Yankee Stadium, where they were going to have a rally on, I think it was June 1st, I think. And it was turned out to be a very difficult day. It was pouring with rain and a windstorm, and there were protests, and it was very intense. But finally, they did succeed in having the rally, and they were able to actually have a victorious rally in Yankee Stadium. Then just a few months later, in September 18th, just 3 months later, they were able to have the rally at Washington Monument, September 18th. So Father was trying to give the members courage because they were facing, for the first time, the national level kind of working to not just national level, because America represents the world. So really it was like the world level. The members were facing the world level. And a lot of them, I think, were scared to go out and face the world level. Father was already 56 years old. He was basically my age, and he was challenging the national and world level in America. So Father was challenging the world level. Let's read, and also at that time, 1976, Jimmy Carter was about to get elected as President of the United States. And the Watergate crisis had put America into a tailspin. America didn't know where she was. America had never lost a war in 200 years of history, right? 1976 was the bicentennial of 1776. There were all kinds of celebrations for the bicentennial. And America had never lost a war. The Korean War was a truce. It wasn't a loss. It was just a ceasefire. The war didn't even end. And we never actually declared war. It was a United Nations military action. So America still had left Korea with some dignity and some pride that it had never lost a war. But the Vietnam War was a debacle. It was a disaster. And in the 1960s, thousands of men were being sent to Vietnam. You may have seen films about the Vietnam War. Some of them, like Good Morning Vietnam,
Robin Williams sort of tragic comic film. He kind of shows the tragedy of the Vietnam War. Other films you might have seen that show the tragedy of it. There are many films made in the 70s and 80s, like Deer Hunter and things like this, that were just incredibly shocking and tragic films with Robert De Niro and other people that showed that the damage that was being done to our men being over there, fighting a guerrilla war against the enemy that was in forests like this, and you couldn't see them. There were trees everywhere, heavy jungle, and you come on a village and you don't know if this village is sympathetic with the north or the south, and then these kids come up to you and they blow up something in front of you. You know, they kill you, and so there were atrocities committed. Children were killed. It was a horrible war, and the men came back really damaged. And even today, if you talk to Vietnam veterans who went and saw action there, they're very bitter about both the war itself and the reception they received when they came back, because the communists had been working through for 30 or 40 years actually in America, building their foundation with Spartacus Youth League and the communist youth parties and the different kinds of communist groups on college campuses that were protected by our First Amendment right to free speech. And they were protesting against the United States, and they were saying that the U.S. was wrong, and they were trying to kick the U.S. out of any international involvement. Of course, they're getting paid by the KGB, by the Soviet Union, to say these things, because the KGB is not pulling back from Nicaragua and El Salvador and all these countries. So Richard Nixon made an amazing coup in 1972, I believe it was. He visited China, and he visited the premier of China. Mao Zedong, I think, was still alive at the time. And they made a peace accord, sort of, like they made friendship. It wasn't like official or political. It was almost like a friendship visit. And because of that, actually, that's one of the greatest things of Richard Nixon's presidency. But then he was reelected in 1972, and he was unpopular with the left, as much, if not more, than Donald Trump is unpopular with the left in America. And Richard Nixon was reelected, but then it came out in the months and years following the election in 1972 that he had authorized, that he had been aware of anyway, that his committee to re-elect the president, which was a bunch of kind of low-life, kind of dark, kind of operatives that had formed a team to sort of find out what the Democratic Party was planning and trying to, strategize. Well, what they'd done was they put bugs, like listening devices, in the rooms at the Watergate Hotel where the Democratic Party election campaign had their headquarters in Washington, D.C. They had taken a suite of rooms in the Watergate Hotel, and they'd bugged it. They'd put in listening devices so that they could hear what the strategies were and what they were planning to do, and of course that gives them an advantage when you're fighting your enemy if you know what they're planning to do. When this came out, it was shocking. It was a big scandal, but people didn't understand that Richard Nixon had some hand in this. They thought it was like these low-level people. Richard Nixon denied it, and I don't know anything about this. And he was famous for this kind of speech, like, "Oh, I am not a crook." He talked like this, Richard Nixon. So all the comics were making fun of him and stuff. But gradually it came out that he had known, or that he had at least been on, certainly meetings had been held where they had discussed things and he had okayed it. So he was impeached, and he would have been actually kind of kicked out of office, but he resigned before he could be kicked out. It was a tragic ending for his presidency, and in 1974 he left office, and his vice president, Gerald Ford, took over. And just for 2 years, Gerald Ford was president, and then he was defeated by the Democratic nominee, Jimmy Carter, in 1976. That's a little background. Okay, so 1976, basically, Richard Nixon, a Republican president, anti-communist, very strong anti-communist, was basically, he'd already resigned. His vice president lost terribly to Jimmy Carter. So basically, the Republican Party was in a rout. They were kicked out, and it was field day for the communists. In other words, for the left in America Jimmy Carter's presidency was a green light. Now we can do what we want to do. No one's going to stop us. And 9 countries fell to communism in Jimmy Carter's presidency. Vietnam fell, Cambodia, Laos. And Cambodia, 3 million people were killed by Pol Pot, the dictator of Cambodia. 3 million people were killed in like 2 years, 3 years. Mountains of bones. Anyway, and then in Africa, Angola and Zimbabwe and all these other countries became communist. And also in Central America, Nicaragua and El Salvador was going to become communist. And it was just a disaster. Worldwide, communism was spreading. So you have to understand, this is the climate that was about to happen to America and to the world when Father was giving this speech. Communism was not like it is now, sort of a memory. You guys don't even know really what communism is anymore. Communism is not the threat it once was. But in 1976, they were about to take over more land and territory in 4 years than they'd ever done in that length of time before. So, except if you say 1948 when China fell. Let's read the speech though. The part of it anyway. This is called "The New Cosmic Spring Will Prosper Eternally." April 18th, 1976, Tarrytown, New York. Spring has come. Plants, grass, trees, insects, birds, animals, all of them are welcoming spring. Are you welcoming spring?
Yes.
You're cold, right? It's a bit cold today. It's like 59 degrees. It's not really warm. What happens when spring comes? In nature, everything stirs. Spring is the season of love. Birds are singing songs of love every morning. God is also seeking a spring when He can sing a song of love, a song of spring. Nature sings a song of life and prosperity. Everything is in that melody. The Creator and the creation are one. Accordingly, God is also preparing to sing a song for spring. But is God in a situation where He can sing now? And I've shared this next part with you myself. One day can be divided into 4 seasons. Morning expresses spring. Noon expresses summer. The evening expresses autumn. And night expresses winter. Human history as well is following the same seasonal path. Human history started from the sorrowful spring caused by the fall of man. Later it moved into the sorrowful summer, which was manifested by the cultures of Egypt and China. Then civilization prospered in such countries as England, the United States, and Japan, and so moved into the tropics. These modern civilizations correspond to the autumn of human history, the season of cultivation. The cold season, the winter of civilization, is coming. That is the threat of communism, centering on the Soviet Union. In a shivering, frozen culture, only a tree with good roots and seeds can survive. What can survive in cold civilizations are the things which have a life force inside, and the source of life, the seed. We must have the root, that is God. A man who has this root can survive in a cold civilization. A seed which has energy can survive. The seed itself has the root and branch within. This bud is a small cosmos of life. So, do you have a seed of life in you? If you have to go through hardship in your life, you may have to go through hardships in your life, right? Some difficult times. Are you inspired? Can you handle that? Can you push through? If you really understand the plan of seasonal history, you know that winter is not the very end. A new spring will come. Since God knows the direction of history, He prepares a people for spring and sends them out as pioneers to the world. God has been preparing them over a long time. Religions are headed toward paralysis and destruction. They are not following their predestined purpose. The crisis of democracy is reflected by the crisis of Christianity. God was hoping for evergreen trees with Himself as the root, but the trunks of today's religions are paralyzed. The sign of new life must rise from there. The new sign must appear despite all kinds of cold weather. So looking at America, America's a Christian country, and yet this Christianity is powerless right now to stop the spread of homosexuality, which it defines as a sin, and to stop this complete insanity of changing gender change and gender identification, choosing your own gender. California is considering on the ballot now an initiative to say on all forms and applications that are on the state level, when you choose like a license, you have male, female, they're going to put other. Male, female, other. We've gone to the point we're so confused we can't even tell whether we're men or women anymore. That's how confused America has become. That we recognize and we support and we encourage the complete loss of our gender identity. And we welcome as a hero of freedom and human rights someone like Bruce Jenner. I refuse to call him by his female name. Bruce Jenner, the Olympic athlete. He was a gold medalist in 1976, I believe it was, or 1980 Olympic Games, the decathlon. So one of the most complete athletes in the world, Bruce Jenner. And then he got more and more confused about his gender, and finally he decided to become a woman. Or he is not sure what he is actually. He doesn't know what he is right now, but he is still going by a woman's name. I don't want to take away anyone's freedoms or rights, but if a nation that is founded on a Christian spirit, if even the founding fathers could have seen this, they would have their mouths would have just dropped open. They would not have believed this situation. I mean, homosexuality was around for thousands of years. Homosexuality has been around. The founding fathers knew about it. Everyone's known about it. It's something that we've never been able to completely eradicate from the human life. There's always been homosexuality. The Bible talks about Sodom and Gomorrah, the two cities that were destroyed because of their homosexuality in the Old Testament. But the fact is that God has never expressed in His Word the belief that homosexuality is something He wants, and that something that He believes is true or good. We have to recognize that there are many, many things that are in our mind and in our heart. Since the fall, you have to realize that the archangel, who is not a human being, had sex with Eve, and Eve had sex with Adam, and they passed on the archangel's nature, which is neutral. It's not masculine or feminine. And as a result, we inherited homosexuality from the fall. Right from the beginning, all of us have homosexuality within us. All of us have murder within us. Have you ever had the idea to kill somebody? I mean, I have not really ever been obsessed with that, but I think there are many people that do struggle and do commit murder, right? There are many people that struggle with murder or commit murder. Maybe someone has struggled with violence and murderous tendencies since birth. You see sometimes even small children, right? They can be quite violent, quite violent. And you see them expressing that more and more as they get older, and finally, yes, they turn to a life of crime. Maybe they become violent. They might hurt somebody or kill somebody. Just because someone has something that they're born with, listen carefully. Just because something has something that they're born with, just because something is born, we're born with some kind of tendency or feeling, does not justify it. We inherit things from our ancestors. Now they're talking about eugenics, right? Is it eugenics or epigenetics? Epigenetics, where we can change our genes by our actions, our thoughts, our behavior. The scientists are beginning to recognize that we can pass those new genes on to our children. So the fact that something is being passed on doesn't mean it's right. Just because you're feeling something from birth doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean that God condones it or accepts it. And if you can pass on evil to your children, Like alcoholism is being recognized more and more as being an epigenetic inherited trait. That you see alcoholism in families. Just because you have a tendency to want to drink, even from teenage years, doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean you should drink. You should fight it your whole life. And frankly, if you can pass it on, then you can also change it. If you can change yourself to become alcoholic and pass on alcoholic genetics to your children, then can't they fight that and overcome it and pass on better genes to their children? If it goes one way, it can go the other. Who knows what was God's original ideal nature for human beings? Only God. And God is expressed in the Bible and through any prophet and any religious person. And if you pray deeply, anyone can understand homosexuality is not God's original ideal. It doesn't mean we go on a campaign and hunt people down. Everyone has sin, whether it's alcoholism or murderous tendencies or maybe homosexuality or even just heterosexual promiscuity. We pass on these kinds of desires to our children. And we've inherited, all of us have inherited many things that are not God's original ideal. So we have to turn back to God's word and God's heart to understand what was God's original ideal. We have to live for that. We don't justify the wrong things and make laws to encourage the teaching of and support of that to our children, which is what's happening right now with homosexuality and gender identity in our schools. This is a sin. And if America continues this way, she will be destroyed. Every civilization that went this far and kept going was destroyed. Rome, the latter stages of the Roman Empire were characterized by homosexuality and by even child sex. The senators, the man-boy love was going on. Aristotle talks about it, Socrates talks about it in Greece. Greece fell because of this, Rome fell because of this, and America is falling because of this. We have to stop this. If you're feeling homosexual tendencies, if you're feeling heterosexual, overwhelming kind of sexual addiction tendencies, if you're feeling alcoholism or any kind of sin, murderous tendencies or desires to steal or disrespect for other people's property, whatever it is, fight it. You don't give it the wheel. Just because someone is trying to take over the car doesn't mean you give it the wheel. We have to struggle to fight against evil and sin and become people who live with God. So America is struggling right now. And America has to change. Let's continue, the Father said. If the new spring reaches the cosmic level, who will welcome it? It is not the dead, dried branch or trunk, but the small twigs and the small branches. The small branch which came out from the root is evergreen and is growing even during the winter. The branch may be small, however, it is connected to God, who is the root. God is trying to prepare the cosmic spring. For spring, he is raising princes and princesses. Finally, when the preparation is made in which spring can bring life, God cuts out the rotten branches and trunks. This cutting occurs on all the levels, such as family, race, and nation. All the energy coming from the root is given to the evergreen branches. Yet this branch is bringing benefit to all levels. The Unification Church is like this small branch. However, it is growing from the family level to the national level and moving toward the world level. So remember what I said about the world level? Our church was right about to step onto the world stage with Yankee Stadium and Washington Monument. Once we move beyond the world level, we can realize that the cosmic spring is awaiting us. When spring comes, the atmosphere will automatically change. The cold weather of Siberia will die away. Today, communism has a big crack within itself. The early ideal of international communism has already been destroyed, and they have fallen back to the national level. Satan's trees are still growing, but their leaves are falling and their branches are withering. The golden age of communism has come to an end. Father declared in 1976, he said, Communism will have a 70-year lifespan from 1918, when the Bolshevik Revolution took over, 1917, 1918, until 1987-88. In other words, 70 years, God will give communism to grow and prosper, but it will decline from 1987. And that's exactly what happened, actually. In 1987, the whole thing began to crumble. Gorbachev began perestroika and glasnost, which were the softening and the easing of, and the relaxing of tensions and the opening of the Soviet Union. And by 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, all of Eastern Europe became free. By 1990, 1991, Soviet Union was open. Father's prediction came true. In 1984, though, no one could tell that was going to happen. It looked like it was going to be a terrible time. Communist countries were powerful, they were spreading, and America was on the retreat. Father told Dr. Morton Kaplan, Nobel Prize winner, he said, who was the head of the science conference, ICUS, the International Conference on Unity of the Sciences, and the Professors World Peace Academy. He said, in the next conference, I want you to put a huge banner, and the theme of the conference will be the end of communism. And Dr. Kaplan, who was a Nobel Prize winner in political science, said, Reverend Moon, I can't do that. I'll be laughed off the stage. How can I? It's too bold. It's too, he didn't even see it. Here's a Nobel Prize winner, and he couldn't see it. But he did it because Father told him to do it. And within 4 years, communism had fallen. Father can see. Father says, I have little eyes, so I can see far away. Just like if you have a camera and you want to see far away, what happens? The aperture gets really small, right? To see far away. When the aperture is big, it can see everything close by. It's like this. But Father has very small little eyes. And so he can see far away. Like a telescope. So he can see far away. He could see that communism was going to fall. And right here in 76, he's saying it. You can see him saying it. This is not guesswork or anything like that. When will the turning point come? The year is 1976 and the day is June 1st. Once we achieve a distinguished record at Yankee Stadium, the free world will enter into the cosmic spring and will make effort for the purpose of its prosperity. We will receive the respect and trust of all the world. Since God is very powerful, he will soon bring forth a great tree. This evergreen tree will be made hard by the wind of Siberia. It will grow quickly when spring comes. When we bring spring to the free world, the same spring will give a warm climate to the cold civilization of communism. So Father never thought, let's destroy the communists, let's kill the communists. He never thought that. He said, once we can warm everything up, the warmth will come into the communist world too and change them. This is how Father feels about everything that is evil and wrong. Even homosexuality and things like this. Once we understand that true family is the right way to go, people will naturally want to change themselves. All kinds of homosexual things people will naturally say, I want to be a man. I don't want to be gender confused. I want to be a woman. I don't want to be gender confused. I want to find my true original nature. This is the kind of love we have to have. But we cannot tolerate the kind of BS that's going on right now in the United States. The kind of political garbage that's going on in the United States. That has to end. We have to fight it. The politicization of homosexuality has to stop. It has to be seen for what it is. It's a confusion of our true identity. It's a confusion. And if you're homosexual at home or anyone listening, if you're dealing with homosexual feelings, you have to know that if you ask God for guidance and love, God will show you that your true original nature is untarnished. Your true untarnished nature is not homosexual, it's heterosexual. And that you can make a true love relationship with the opposite sex. So if you're lesbian or homosexual, gay, whatever you are, you should understand that God's original nature is within you, and that the original nature that God gave you is never homosexual, never lesbian. It's always true. It's always God's original nature. Wherever we go, we can see the world feels no hope. Yet the world does have hope. The seed is bringing a new life. You are made hard by cold climates, but you have the glow of life burning inside you. The warmth of spring can break the shell. As a result, the evergreen tree will bring forth new leaves. The civilization for which God has been longing is not in bloom yet. As you know, God is not really savoring the joy of history. Past civilizations, centering upon past religions, could not go beyond the limit of the nation. Accordingly, the new evergreen tree must begin on the international level. Neither could past religions overcome the obstacles stemming from different skin colors, but we know that God is colorblind. Let's skip to the end. We have been struggling during the winter, but the time has come. Now as spring is smiling over us. By 1981, the cosmic summer will come. When we go into the cosmic summer, nature will be covered with evergreen trees. Do you want to be the persons who welcome the cosmic spring? Your smile is very big and contains a joy that has no precedence in history. Your smile reaches to the end of the world, so God also smiles broadly. God and man will embrace each other, and everything under the sun will sing a song of spring. Nature's grasses, trees, insects, and birds. Spring is a season that love can visit. Why is the power of love immortal? Because it makes separate things into one. Love generates life. The power of love is so strong and so warm that it can melt the universe. The power of love will bring a blossoming spring on the earth. The God of love is dominating us beyond the limit of nationality or race. We will march forward in order to welcome the imminent cosmic spring. We have been chosen by God as the harbingers of spring. We are marching forward toward Yankee Stadium in order to declare the spring. What a joy this is. New York is the city of despair. We must bring a revival to New York. We will create a spring atmosphere. Yankee Stadium will become the place of the welcoming spring banquet for the entire universe. Just as spring visits all places, you must visit each street and each home in New York. You must show the sign of spring to all places, in each small part of town and on each street. Raise your hands, those of you who truly wish to become the harbingers of spring. Woohoo! Okay, so for us, as the Montanaro family, we know that we're going into a time now of we want to really declare Father as the Messiah. We want to declare the principle as the truth that can change the world and bring about a world of peace and love and harmony. We want to give the blessing to hundreds and hundreds of couples. We want to teach them. We want to go door to door, family to family, everyone we meet, to give them the good news. The gospel, the word gospel means good news. We want to give the good news that the Messiah came. He brought the truth. He brought the blessing. He opened the door of marriage and family. Right now, marriage and family is suffering an incredible attack in America. And we have to be the defenders of marriage and family and talk about the value of marriage and family. And realize that men and women have roles that are different, separate and different in the family. And that is glorious and beautiful and wonderful. We work for one common purpose. Do you think that on the Cleveland Cavaliers, the lowly point guards are jealous of LeBron James? No, they're proud to have LeBron James as their leading star. They pass the ball to him because they know he's going to put it in. When that ball goes through the hoop, does everybody celebrate? Yes, everyone on the team celebrates. When Tom Brady passes the ball to his tight end, Gronkowski or somebody else, and they score a touchdown, everybody on the team, from the guards that are pulling, to the tight ends that are protecting, to the wide receivers that are scattering the defenders out on the field, to Tom Brady, to the sidelines, to the defense, everybody is celebrating because everybody benefits when one person brings victory. The family is a team. A man and a woman work together as a team, becoming one. The pride that a man feels in his family is no different from the pride the woman feels in the family. The man and woman work together to create a family. If man and woman compete with each other and think that we have to compete for everything, jobs and money and everything, they lose the sense that they can work together as a team. And this is what's happened in America. The women's liberation movement in America has declared war on family and on marriage. It is said that marriage is the worst thing that can happen to a woman is to get married to a man, becoming like his slave, his sex slave, or his work slave. That she's slaving away, working in the home, while the man's going out gloriously in the society. And are you crazy? You think it's easy to go? Do you think I want to go out and work? I love to stay home. I love being at home. I don't want to go out and work, but I'm working because I love my children, I love my wife, I'm working for them, for you. And a man is so excited to work when he knows that he has children. And you watch any man that has a child, watch what happens to him. You all know, you have friends that have had children, the men. You watch, they go from being a boy to being a man. Before they have children, they're still kind of a big boy. But as soon as they have children, they grow up and they become a man. And they suddenly realize, I'm responsible. And they stop joking around and they get a job and they work and they make money. And they work, and if they can't make it this way, they'll find something else to do. And they find a way to work. This is because they want to accomplish something for their family. A woman is the same. When a woman is dating and flirting with men and having getting attention from men, she's what is that the 3 FLs in one of the movies we watched? Flirty, flighty, and flawed, right? I think it was in Alex and Emma, right? Kate Hudson's character says that what's his name? Owen Wilson? Not Owen Wilson, but the other Wilson. Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson's a writer, and he's writing a character in one of his books, and Kate Hudson's typing for him, and she says, this character is just flirty, flighty, and flawed. And women are, when they're dating, they're flirty, they're flighty, and they're flawed. But once a woman commits herself through marriage to one man, then that relationship becomes the center for her, because she knows when she gets pregnant and has a baby, she needs the man to protect her, and so she can make a nest. I've watched my wife change after she was pregnant. She changed, her character changed. She became like a mother bird, and she was nesting. She wanted a safe place to be, to have the child, and she wanted a home, and she started decorating everything, and it was like nesting. I was like amazed. I was like, whoa, I better step out of this woman's way, She was like taking over the home, And I've seen it happen not just to my wife, but every woman I've seen get pregnant, the same thing happens. They're nesting, and they want to stay home. They want to take care of that baby. The most horrible thing for a woman is to have to go back to work just a few months after she's given birth. She doesn't want to do it. But our modern society is saying, if you don't do that, you're not a true woman. You're betraying womankind. You're giving up your career for the sake of what? A baby? Are you nuts? That's a life. You've been entrusted with this amazing child, this life. What's more important, your job or that baby? Absolutely. And women have forgotten that, or they've been lied to, and they believe that they have to give up, and the children suffer because of this. They're being raised by au pairs and by nannies who, actually many of them are lovely women who actually do a great job, and many times the kids are speaking Spanish before they're speaking English because the nanny is Spanish speaking. And they develop that relationship with them, but it's not ideal, And if you have more than one child, and if you give your time to breastfeed, and you give time to really take care of that child, and you have more than one child every couple of years, you have a child. Say you have 3 or 4 children, you're going to be out of the workforce. You should be out of the workforce for 10 years. Then after their children are going to school, then you can work again. It's fine. It's just that to deny that a woman's role in the home as a mother is to deny a woman's ideal state. To be a mother, to be a wife, and to be a father and to be a husband is more important than to have a career. My role as a husband and as a father is more important than my career. So if men are focusing only on their career, they're wrong too. We should work so we can help society, and then the money that we earn goes to our family and to our community and to our nation and to the world. It's very simple. It's materialism. Modern feminism is materialism. It's putting money ahead of relationship. It's putting money ahead of anything. It's saying that work is more, that defines. How evil and stupid is this? I challenge the feminists who are listening. So you're saying, in other words, that we're defined more by our career than by our relationships? Are you saying that we're defined by how we make money? That is such a lie, and it's such a degradation of the original spirit of a human being. We're defined by our relationship with God, by our relationships with mankind, and by our relationship with the creation. We're defined by the three blessings. Making money is the third blessing. To be wealthy is a wonderful thing that God gives us. But it doesn't come first. First comes our relationship with God. Then our relationship with each other, husband and wife, parent and child, family, community, nation, world. Okay. So, today we talk about spring. Our family wants to go out and it wants to tell the world this good news. We have power, we have energy. Even though we're just one family, we're like one seed. From that one seed, a whole tree. Look at this giant tree. Can you believe that this giant tree came from one little seed? I wonder what kind of tree this is. Looking at the leaves on the ground, I think they're all rotten away. That's hard to tell. But the new leaves are coming. Maybe it's a maple or an oak, but it's a hardwood tree. Anyway, this tree came from one little seed. You know those little wings that go? That's probably the kind of seed this came from. And it just planted itself in the ground and it sprouted and it came up. So, yeah, that's a maple. It's a maple. So, anyway, I hope that all of you guys can become little seeds. Are you excited to become seeds and to plant a new world? Okay, let's pray. Amma, come on. Please join us in prayer. Dear Father, today we read from The New Cosmic Spring Will Prosper Eternally, Father's speech from April 18th, 1976. And even though it's a cold, chilly day, we saw the beautiful trees and the sunrise, the sunshine and the clouds and the air. The air is so clean and beautiful. Father, I pray that we can be willing to go out and to pioneer, to risk ourselves, to bring your new words and truth to the world. Please be with all the people who are listening, that they can be inspired and they can challenge themselves to become true men and women, that we can all overcome the sin and the fallen nature that we inherit from the fall and become the true sons and daughters that you've been longing for since the beginning of creation. Please be with everyone listening, that they can all receive inspiration and guidance from you and become the true sons and daughters you've been longing for. We ask your blessing on this day. We offer everything to you in the name of Raman and Tamiko Montanaro, blessed central family. 축복 중심 가정, 라만과 타미코 몬타나로 이름으로 보고드립니다. 아주.
아주.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.